Hello everyone, it's Alisha Brashay here. I hope that you're doing well. Wow, it feels really nice to be back recording more regular videos. So it just occurred to me this morning that it's been almost 6 months since I've recorded one of these videos. So bear with me because there's quite a lot that wants to come through this video. As I was sort of getting prepared as usual, it's like the floodgates open, and it's like once I've made that decision and that intention that I'm going to put out some content, it's like I just get bombarded with different thought process of things to share. So bear with me, I'm going to try and get through it all. So just doing a little bit of an update, personal and energetic, and also introducing a new project that has been on my mind for some time that I've wanted to implement. So I'm really excited to bring that all to you. Where to begin? I think I'll start because today I woke up. Dream space has been just crazily hectic, and that has probably been most of the year. So to me, it really feels like there's a lot of work that's being done on different realms and dimensional levels. And I'll share with you, I think it was a few nights ago, just out of nowhere, all of a sudden I just, this crazy intense fatigue. And I went to bed, and as soon as my head hit the pillow, it was just like straight into like this busy dream space where it has consistently been for weeks, if not months now. And it's been pretty steady off and on for most of the year in that capacity. So as I started to go in, I brought myself out and kind of rearranged to get more comfortable. And I heard this message saying, we've called you to dream space because you need to go to work. And I was like, okay, another busy night. So I'm sure that many of you who are watching this can probably relate to that. I know I've shared multiple posts talking about that, that we are pulling double, triple shifts in the cleanup work that's being done on the planet right now. And this morning was one of those mornings of waking up with little recall, but an awareness of the things that were happening during the evening. And I couldn't sort of grasp onto any specific details, except that it was, it was sort of on a collective level. And as I was sitting there trying to recall, as I do, because one thing that I've always got into the process of for a very long time is like before jumping out of bed, just when you're in that dream, in that in-between space as you're coming out of dream into conscious awakening, I always allow myself a couple of minutes to go back and revisit any messages or information from the night before to see what type of a dream space it was. And I tend to break it down. There's about 5 or 6 different types. So there's past life memory that we can have, so like a recall. There is processing dreams, where we go back and we revisit past timelines, situations, people in the attempt of closing off those timelines. We have what I call the New Earth or 5D dreams, which are really beautiful and blissful, and very loving of that nature. So you tend to wake up still feeling that, and quite often they can be future projection dreams. Oh, what else? Then there's what I call the various levels of astral sort of dreams, which they're the ones that I don't tend to hold much weight in terms of interpreting. It's like when the soul goes off and has different experiences in different dimensional realms. Then we've got I've just gone blank. Prophetic dreams. So the ones that give us a very clear insight or message. So that can be different from what I call like a 5D high vibe dream. where we see into the future. So it could just be the next day or the following week where we can have predictions of being shown, given a heads up. And then we've got symbolic dreams where there's something very significant in that dream. So where we sort of, that's where you can go and decode whatever that particular standout item or person was and sort of get the messages that way. I'm sure there's more, but just in basic terms, it's interesting. I had no intention of sharing that, but this morning when I woke up, not being able to get specific details, but I asked, what was last night about? And what sort of came through was course correction, and I kept hearing that over and over and over again. And I guess that brings us to where we are today. As I record this, today's the 15th of July 2020, and I have to say there's a real upbeat swing in the air. Nothing noticeably different, but the vibe, the energy has sort of lifted and changed, and I guess we're at that halfway point or mark of 2020. So it's been such a massive year, and I won't even go into it because there's so much to discuss, and I've kind of promised myself that I would stay away from bringing up or discussing global events for now anyway, unless I feel guided to. So I want to bring you guys to an image or an artwork that I had started back around mid or late March. I think it was late March this year. So just before we went into the first lockdown, or most of the world went into first lockdown around that time. And the purpose of creating this artwork was because I kept getting this vision or image. Sorry, I'm just looking at it. It's beside me here. I'll show it in a second. This vision or image in multiple sessions. And I felt the need to paint it because sometimes I find it's easier to paint energy to give people a better or a better understanding of the visual. And the really cool thing is that I felt guided to paint over the top of it today and change it and transform it. And I think that that's, if you want to look at the symbology of what I created, first half and then second half of the year. And maybe you can use this in terms of working with your own energy or process, because I know a lot of us are doing a lot of collective clearing, and it seems like we're just taking it in turns. So we some of us come up for air and have a bit of respite and then sort of go under again, and it's sort of been quite choppy like that. So I'm going to bring up this image and just break down and show you. So I hope you can see it. There we go. So as you can see, I've sort of painted over this half. So initially when I painted it, let's see if I can get it without the glare. Initially when I painted it this year, there was none of this. So it was primarily just black and white, and then this kind of a luminous blue and green color. And so this represented like the old earth energies here, and this represented new earth energies. And what I was seeing, it was clearing through people's bodies when I was doing in sessions and doing energy work. And so this stuff was coming out as programming, intense emotions, situations, all that sort of combination of stuff. And then it was being filled up with new earth encoding. But they were very, very separate. And so when I got inspired to work on this, interestingly, the colours have changed, and I've still seen this repeatedly throughout the year. The colours have changed, so now it's very much yellow, vibrant yellow and green. So I guess you could look at that as like solar plexus and heart chakra frequencies, and they're really starting to blend or encompass to shift out this sort of density that we're all working on breaking up within our own lives, within our own experiences, and of course throughout the collective field. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Perhaps if you are having, going through phases of struggle, if you want to just tune into your body and whatever it is that you're processing or going through, use that visual, if you want, of that sort of distorted grey matter, black and white, and move that out of the body and replace it with something that's really light, vibrational, and high energy. So anyway, I just thought I would share that with you. And I think it's really quite symbolic that on halfway through the year, I've got up and I've transformed that painting. And I've been saying now for a while, I think the second half of this year is going to look very, very different to the first half. And so I want to share a little bit about, my being absent, making these regular videos. It's been a massive transitional year for me, and going through a lot of personal stuff. In the beginning of the year, it felt to me as though I was constantly being bombarded and hit with like tower moment after tower moment, and in various areas of my life. And we can really get quick to beat up on ourselves when we go through those things, thinking, oh, haven't I worked through this? Haven't I been through this before? But one thing that I was really observant of during that and holding space for myself was that as it hit it was almost in reflection of what was happening in the greater collective. And what I was sort of noticing and making parallels of, that, throughout March and April for me very much felt like the remnants of the beginning of my ascension pathway. So there was a lot of trauma around people and situations, and having to deal with a lot of interference energies, being bombed. There was like, it was very, very heightened time. There was a lot of like clearing a lot of lower level entity work, just constant feeling on edge and bombarded, and it was very unpleasant. And then as that shifted, May and June really felt like rest and recovery and starting to make more sense of it, but it was still a lot of confusion and not really understanding. And that's sort of that in-between time where we're going through those clearing out of old ways of thinking, being, and doing. And of course, with that can, be represented in our physical world too, where people exit or, we change living arrangements. There's that physical transformation and change that happens as well. And then, as we've sort of moved into July, there's been, I've started to feel like I'm really starting to get back into getting my mojo back. A lot of inspirational thoughts and new projects and really exciting stuff. So just to share with you where I have been at. And I'm really hoping to be able to do much more regular videos. I don't know at this stage whether it will be fortnightly or weekly. I think I'm just going to go with it. I've been planning to make this video for a few weeks now, and I've been really, there's something to say about divine timing, because it's really felt like no, as much as my human has wanted to, there's been something that's like, no, it's not the right time, it's not the right time. And this morning I just knew as soon as I woke up, it was like, right, boom, let's get this done. So what else? I wrote a whole stack of notes, because it's just every time something significant happens, I want to be able to share that. And if I don't, like, things happen so quickly that it's sort of in and out, gone. And I don't even know if this is all relevant, because I wrote this about 2 weeks ago. So I think a lot of it was talking about time speeding up, and going back into like hypersensitivity, feeling as though you're in a dreamlike space. Nothing kind of feels real, and that reminder around a lot of what we go through as we go through tests and initiations. It is like a simulation, designed for our greatest growth and evolution. And talking about, there was this beautiful download that I got. It was about how the landscape of our inner compass and dial changes direction. and like this internal compression as we start to go through a cocooning phase. It's like, I guess it's a description of a lot of what I felt I've experienced this year. And I think, for a lot of people and the collective, going into this cocoon-like space where you want to shelter yourself from the outside world and potential harshnesses, because the landscape within you is changing so vastly that you don't want the external world to interfere with that process, because it is so precious. And then as we start to come up, everything starts to speed up, and our surroundings and reality has to recalibrate to match our internal process. And that's where things can, feel a bit surreal. It's like we literally can wake up one day and everything, has a different glow about it, or a different feel, a sense. And, in quite the opposite, it can happen as well. We can wake up and think, oh, especially after we've gone through some very high energy waves, which have started to come back, which has been really beautiful. And I've noticed that there was about a week where there was just like Kundalini sort of energy activation. And every time I would go to bed at night, it was like as soon as I'd lay down, it would be like, whoo, this really high charged energy coming through. And sometimes after we go through that upswing, we can we can easily wake up the next morning feeling quite exhausted or hungover, and that's that time for recalibration. So I just want to touch on physical symptoms, because I know one thing that has been coming back now is like the aches and pains in the leg, and this is something that I started noticing back in about 2015, that I would wake up and my legs were just so sore and achy, but for no apparent reason. Like, it really felt like I'd been doing leg workout at the gym, and the day before, but obviously hadn't. Gyms aren't my thing, but I do a lot of walking, but nothing additional to equate to having that. And so, that was probably one of the very first very noticeable ascension symptoms. So it would come, and I would just tend to drink a lot of water, and then it would pass in a day or two. So that's been coming back around. And I got this message the other day, just before the next round of this sort of leg integration stuff was happening, was that on those days, that's the day of integration and grounding and anchoring in new light that we're filtering in. So it's like coming down the final part of the body, it's coming down through the legs. And so it's a real day of stillness and focusing on grounding and implementing perhaps what we've been working on ethereally or energetically as it moves. It's like grounding it in so that the physical manifestation can then start to come into our reality. So so that's really beautiful. Just trying to think about what else I wanted to share at this time. Lots of tests of faith have been coming up. That's been a big theme. And I think, this year has really been about getting back to basics and the simplistic nature of things for all of us, for humanity, and finding better ways, simpler ways of doing things, and finding a different pace, a pace that's more sustainable. And that's probably one of the greatest things that I've been really focusing on. Normally, I'm when I get inspired and everything's flowing, I just tend to work, and then I fall into a heap of exhaustion generally, and then I have to take a little bit of time to recover and then go again. So for me, it's been a real focus of being able to maintain a steady pace throughout, so not having the epic highs and lows. Still going with the waves, as we've got to go with the flow, but just finding a more steadier, grounded sort of pace to work through things. So what else? Oh man, everything that I've discussed is nothing that has come through. So there may be some more. I might think of some other things, but I do want to introduce and share with you what I have been working on. So It's so interesting because earlier in the year I had such guidance to work on more sort of projects around guidance and readings and cards, and all that was sort of going ahead. And through some of my tower moments, one of the catalysts was around cards, tarot cards, oracle cards. And since then, I've had a real big aversion to working with them. So I just wanted to share and explain that. And I tend to go in and out of them, and I've wanted to do this for a very long time. And it was only through that process of that, what I thought was going to happen and where things were going, it was like a real abrupt redirect, and it's kind of moving into this beautiful place of where I always kind of wanted to move my work into in regular updates. So I think there's a lot to be said about when we think that things are moving in one direction, and then we have those unforeseen circumstances and tower moments, and just a reminder that things can actually and always do work out, for the highest good of everyone, ourselves included, of course. And another reflection I was having this morning was just how vastly different things can be and what we sort of project into the future. And it comes, and when we get to the certain place that we've projected to, how vastly different and better it is, and we couldn't have even foreseen that, in the old way of doing things. And just to give you one example, as probably most of you all know, I have two beautiful huskies named Luna and Ari. They are brother and sister. I got them as rescues separately years back, and they've been a big part of my family. So last year we started to go through some health issues with Ari, and they're a little bit older. They're 11 years old, and he's got arthritis, and he had sustained a bit of a leg injury. And I felt at that time, being in the middle of winter, that there's no way that I could endure another winter because it was so taxing on his health. And we've worked with him, and he's had he's had other things happen this year, which has been part of my unforeseen tower moments. But I'm very happy to say that both of them are doing amazingly well now. Fast forward, 6 and 12 months onwards. And today he was just running and jumping, and he was, just so full of life and vitality. And I sort of checked myself, and I thought to myself, isn't that amazing how 12 months ago I was projecting to the now time about how I didn't know how I was going to manage with his physical conditions, because I had envisioned that they were only going to worsen and not get better. And in actual fact, he's better than he was 12 months ago. So I guess just wanted to share, how miraculous things can come into our lives. And I think just to tie that all in, I think that's probably another reason, especially at this point, this really critical point in where we are in a planet of going through this ascension process, is to change my work to move away from intuitive guidance, at least for on YouTube videos, and make it something much more in alignment with the work that I actually do. So obviously my work is very based on helping people align energetically and help support healing and facilitate healing, and activation and energy work, And for a long time, I've been doing a lot of work with creating processes and techniques to help my clients so that they can go away and work with different techniques on their own so that they can support themselves. So now what I'm bringing to you is a little bit of a taste of that. So I've done 3 images, and I've recorded 3 audios of energy techniques. So they're called energy alignment techniques. And so I will share them with you now. You can choose them. I will place them up as well, just the image, but I'll bring them up now. And I'll share the story about how this came about and how this is sort of still evolving. So this one here is Universal Flow. So you can have a look there. And this one here is Starlight. Let's see if I can get it. And this one here is for the purpose of clearing. So that one there. So I created them probably going almost a month ago. So this has sort of been in the works for a while. I'll place them back up here. So going back into May, I started working, and this is something that I've been aware of for quite some time, that when I work with the artwork, there's a lot of energy encoding that comes through that. And I always wanted to work on how I could, create something through that, a combination of energy and art and clearing and activation and guidance and technique. So it's just amazingly fitting how today in my reminder, in my little pop-up, I was shown that 3 years ago today I was taking different photographs of artwork to place on my website as I, very first started putting up my services and created my own website. It's amazing how, 3 years down the track, looking at recreating something entirely new. And I think that that's how our work should be, is ever evolving and changing. And so just to share a little bit about how this all came about, through my work, I noticed that people would have different reactions and different responses. And I just, as an example, I remember once a client coming and walking into my space, into my meditation room, and looking at some of my Divine Partnership artwork and just going, oh, wow, and just sort of standing there and said, I can feel my heart chakra activating just being in the presence of that. And I was like, really? I was a bit surprised. I was like, what? Really? That's kind of cool. All right. And that wasn't a one-off. And so I was like, wow, there's something really to that. And I know for me it's a real process of it's a meditative process, but it's also a way that I get a lot of information and guidance that comes through, very similar to when I'm doing energy work. It's like you open up that channel and whatever wants to come through will come through. So going back into May, I started experimenting with, painting with an intention and purpose for energy, healing, alignment, and specific things. And I tried it out, as I do. I sort of tried it out, and I created one for my mum. And I think it was for Mother's Day, actually. So I did this artwork. I was guided specifically on the colours, because colours are important, the shape, the style, the creation itself. And I did some energy work over it, and then I gave it to her, and I guided her through how the intention was for it, and that she would need to keep it close to her or on her bedside table, and then just look into the image and draw in the energy of that and place it into the body where it needed assistance. And after a couple of days of that, she was like, wow, that was quite incredible. And I was like, okay, cool, it works, So I kept sort of exploring and playing with that. So the reason that I'm sharing that with you is that is what I've created. So each of these artworks have created, I have placed energy encoding over them, and I've recorded a energy technique. So I will place the links, the individual links for those, in the description box. So remember, we have Universal Flow, Starlight, and clearing. So you may want to go and listen to them all. Just as advisory, please don't listen to them while you're driving. Make sure that you're in a space where it's uninterrupted. Each of them go for roughly about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. So I hope that you enjoy them. I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear what you've experienced through that. And of course, that they will be up on YouTube, and you can always go back and listen to them when you feel that you need a little extra support in that area. So I'm very excited to bring this to you and try something new. I will be looking at transitioning this into a service. I haven't as of yet. But I will be trialing it out with my subscription members. So thank you everyone who is a Cosmic Gateway Soul Tribe subscriber. I'll be trialing it in there, and then once I'm happy with it, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So once I'm happy with it, I will then launch it on the website and let you all know. So I think that's it for now. I can't think of anything else, but also obviously the other new project that I've been working on, I ran a practitioner's training course around the beginning of the year with some amazing souls who have various gifts, and it was just such a pleasure to be able to enhance those and share some of my techniques and experience with them. And so from that, we've started to create the Cosmic Gateway roundtable conversations I guess, with the intention of getting this work out more to the masses and, creating a more mainstream mindset. I don't know if that's the right word, but, I think there's a lot of mystery or mysticism around this type of work, and I kind of want to clear that out and change the perception of it, because it is incredibly powerful, and it's sometimes it can be, people find this energy work as a last resort of other things not working, and I truly believe that it can be complementary in any other sort of practice. So so a lot of new things coming on the horizon. I am looking at hopefully doing a couple more group projects, courses and programs coming up for the rest of the year. So I've got a couple of things in the pipeline. Looking at running another Lightworkers Call to Duty. So that's I'm going to rework it. I've been trying to rework on it for about a year now to make it more efficient and more accessible for the people who feel that call. So the Lightworkers Call to Duty program is helping people step into their soul mission and sort of getting them out and doing their work, and however that looks like. So it can be open for people who are already practitioners that want to jump to the next level and create more, understand how to create more exposure to their work and things like that. And it also can be for people who are just starting out and looking to uncover and discover what their purpose and mission is. So if you are interested in that, I wasn't even planning on doing it. It's funny how things just come out. Please email me. I'll open up for expressions of interest. So I'll put my email down and just put in the subject heading Lightworkers Call to Duty. And we can sort of go from there and open that discussion. I haven't given a lot of thought until now, but I've opened my mouth. And the other one that I'm working on, and I'm not really sure, it's probably too early to announce because I'm still working on it, but it looks like it could be a divine partnership program and taking it in from a different approach. So it's about working with the gifts that come online through rapid ascension, through divine partnership, and creating that support and, moving through new ways of being. So I'm super excited about that. That's come down in a series of downloads throughout sessions. So I'm still putting all that together. But if that kind of sparks your interest and you have gone through some sort of rapid ascension awakening through a divine partnership or twin connection, and you're looking to understand yourself better, once again, email me expressions of interest, and then I can put your name on the list. So I think that's all. I am open for sessions, so the details for those individual personalized sessions will be in the description box below. Until next time, I'm so looking forward to connecting with you all more regularly and just sending out so much love. So, mwah, and I'll connect with you soon. Bye.